Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something truly incredible. We're going to look at a striking example of how historically marginalized groups are literally hacking civic participation to demand accountability. We're focusing right in on the Malaiyaha community in Sri Lanka. Specifically, we'll see how grassroots youth in the Kalutara district are using a wild combination of modern artificial intelligence and the Right to Information Act to secure crucial government services. It's a brilliant blueprint for bypassing bureaucratic red tape. We're going to unpack a first-hand account to see exactly how these tools are hitting the ground and transforming everyday residents into active, powerful auditors of their local government.
Section 1. A Voice from Kalutara.
The narrative we're exploring today comes to us directly from a young man named Satheesan. And to really grasp the gravity of his journey, we kind of have to understand his environment first. The Kalutara district features these extensive plantation areas. Historically, accessing even the most basic government services there, we're talking everything from fixing a broken road to getting vital healthcare records, has been incredibly tough. It's hindered by physical distance, sure, but mostly by immense bureaucratic hurdles. For decades, navigating the system there felt like being stuck in a giant maze of obscure paperwork. It honestly just discouraged everyday citizens from seeking the services they were legally owed in the first place.
Now, Satheesan isn't just acting on his own. He operates within the Voice of the Plantation People organization in the Kalutara district. The Malaiyaha people have formed the absolute backbone of the plantation economy for generations, but they've faced systemic barriers in getting equitable public services for just as long. So this organization, it represents a community actively advocating for its fundamental rights. By working through this grassroots collective, Satheesan isn't just gaining knowledge for himself, he's part of a highly structured effort to dismantle those historical barriers. The focus is deeply practical here. They're figuring out exactly how an historically sidelined community can effectively compel the state to deliver everyday public services.
Now, what's really interesting is Section 2, the catalyst, digital democracy training. Let's see what kicked this all off.
So the real turning point happened back in February, or the Tamil month of Masi. The community participated in a targeted digital democracy training program. And let me be clear, this wasn't your standard run-of-the-mill computer literacy class where you learn to send emails or make spreadsheets. Actually, scratch that. It was way more like a tactical deep dive into decoding government bureaucracy. The Malaiyaha youth wanted to understand the precise levers of power. They focused entirely on using technological tools to extract basic public services, track local infrastructure budgets, and uphold community rights. They were effectively shifting their relationship with the government from the ground up.
The ultimate goal of this training was just profound. Think about the old way. A missing road repair or a denied welfare benefit usually meant waiting endlessly for some regional official to maybe visit the plantation, just hoping someone with authority would listen. Well, this training completely flipped that dynamic on its head. It equips these young citizens to proactively track down the exact government department responsible for an issue, pinpoint the precise administrative action required, and then use the correct legal channels to demand that action. It was a total evolution, right? Moving from just waiting for the system to actually working the system.
Okay, let's dive right into Section 3, the new Civic Toolkit.
The actual toolkit they mastered is a brilliant mashup of a legal framework and cutting-edge technology. First, you have the Right to Information, or RTI Act. This is essentially a legal skeleton key. It's a mechanism that forces government transparency and legally binds civil servants to respond to your inquiries. But here's the catch. The RTI Act is really only effective if you know how to ask the right questions in the right, highly specific bureaucratic language. And that is exactly where ChatGPT and Gemini AI come into play. They're using these AI platforms as expert translators and strategic advisors to crack wide open those bureaucratic bottlenecks.
Let's paint a picture of how this works. Imagine a young person in Kalutara trying to find out why the promised funding for a local health clinic just vanished. First, they fire up Gemini to parse through all that dense, complex government jargon, breaking it down into plain, easy-to-understand Tamil. Next, they take that simplified understanding over to ChatGPT and have it draft a rigorous, perfectly formatted right-to-information request. It is a real game-changer. The AI completely levels the playing field. It ensures that a grassroots request carries the exact same formal weight as an inquiry from a high-priced lawyer. It makes it legally impossible for bureaucrats to just dismiss the grievance over a technicality or a formatting error.
Moving on to Section 4, Empowering Malaiyaha Youth. This is where the ripple effect happens. You see, when Satheesan mastered these tools, that knowledge didn't just sit with him. Like he says, through trainings like this, awareness was created for the Malaiyaha youth community. This idea spread like wildfire through the wider youth community, and this is where the power dynamic for the next generation of plantation workers permanently shifts. They aren't disconnected from the administrative state anymore. By sharing this ability to translate legal jargon and automate formal inquiries, they've built a networked, highly digitally literate bloc. This collective awareness means local governments are now facing a coordinated community that is fully capable of holding them accountable for public services at scale.
What Satheesan's experience really gives us is a super clear, highly replicable blueprint. Just look at the progression, starting with targeted training in February, moving into the mastery of specific tools that combine legal rights with artificial intelligence, and culminating in widespread community empowerment. This strategy for long-term government accountability isn't just something that works in the Malaiyaha district. It's a universally adaptable method. Any community anywhere can use this to transform its relationship with local authorities and secure the services they absolutely deserve.
So we've seen how the Malaiyaha youth are fundamentally restructuring their civic reality, right? They took artificial intelligence, something we usually only talk about in abstract, futuristic terms, and turned it into a localized, highly effective crowbar for government transparency. It's just brilliant. So I want to leave you with this thought based on Satheesan's journey. If grassroots youth in Sri Lankan plantation communities can harness AI and transparency laws to shape their democracy, how are you utilizing the tools at your disposal? Take a hard look at your own civic toolkit today and ask yourself, how are you making your voice heard?